There's a truth most people are afraid to admit. A lot of the pain in this life doesn't come from failure. It comes from trying to control everything so hard that you slowly destroy yourself in the process. You try to control the future. Control other people's feelings. Control how the world sees you. Control things that were never truly yours to control. And in the end, the only thing you actually manage to control is your own exhaustion. Painful, isn't it? But that's exactly how most people live. We wake up every day feeling like we have to run. Run faster than everyone else. Be better than everyone else. Make more money. Succeed earlier. Become happy faster. Everything has to be fast. So fast that we forget how to actually live. Have you ever sat alone in silence? Without your phone. Without social media. Without music. Without short videos distracting your mind. And suddenly felt uncomfortable. It's not because you hate silence. It's because your mind has become addicted to constantly doing something. Modern people are obsessed with action. Society has convinced us that if you're not constantly moving forward, you're failing. If you're not busy, you're useless. If you haven't achieved something impressive, you don't deserve love or respect. And so millions of people enter a race with no finish line. They work until they burn out. Love until they break apart. Push themselves until they completely lose who they are. Only to sit alone in a dark room one night and quietly ask themselves, what am I even living for? That is the scariest moment of all. Not failure, but realizing you spent years forcing yourself toward things that never truly belonged to you in the first place. There was once a young farmer. He watched hundreds of motivational videos every month. Every day he heard phrases like, never stop grinding. If you want success, you must outwork everyone. While others sleep, you should be working. At first, it inspired him. But eventually, motivation turned into obsession. He looked at his field. And everything felt too slow. The crops grew too slowly. The harvest came too slowly. Results appeared too slowly. He could no longer tolerate the natural pace of life. So he started interfering. He pulled the crops upward to make them grow faster. They died. He poured excessive water onto them, hoping they would grow quicker. The roots rotted. The soil became ruined. He used every possible method to force nature to obey his will. And in the end, he destroyed the very thing he wanted to grow. Sound familiar? That's exactly how many people treat their own lives. You force yourself to be okay while your soul is collapsing. You force yourself to stay strong even when you're completely drained. You force love to last. Force someone to stay. Force success to arrive sooner. And eventually everything falls apart right in front of you. Not because you didn't try hard enough, but because life does not work through force. Taoism calls this Wu Wei, the art of non-forcing. A philosophy that sounds simple, but if deeply understood, it can completely change the way you live. Wu Wei does not mean giving up on life. It is not laziness, not passiveness, not escaping responsibility. It means acting without going against the natural flow of things. Lao Tzu once said, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Think about that for a moment. The sun never tries to rise faster. Spring never rushes to arrive early. A river never struggles to prove its strength. And yet everything unfolds perfectly. Only human beings live in constant panic. We are terrified of being left behind. Terrified of not being good enough. Terrified that someone else is succeeding faster than us. And that fear destroys the peace within us. Some people cannot sit still for even 5 minutes without feeling guilty. If they rest, they feel weak. If they slow down, they feel like failures. But sometimes, stopping is the wisest thing you can do. Not everything in life needs to be rushed. A wound needs time to heal. A person needs time to mature. A soul needs time to become peaceful again. But the modern world hates time. It wants everything instantly. Fast love. Fast money. Fast fame. Fast success. And because we've become addicted to speed, we no longer know how to grow naturally anymore. So we begin forcing everything. Forcing ourselves. Forcing other people. Forcing life. But life is more like water than machinery. The tighter you try to hold it, the faster it slips through your fingers. Have you ever tried forcing yourself to fall asleep quickly? The harder you try, the more awake you become. Have you ever tried forcing yourself to forget someone? The more you force yourself to forget, the more they consume your mind. Have you ever tried acting confident around someone, only to end up sounding awkward and unnatural? That is the paradox of life. Many things only work when you stop forcing them. Zhuangzi once told a story about an archer. When he shot arrows simply for enjoyment, he was incredibly skilled. But once a reward was introduced, his hands began to shake. Why? Because he was no longer focused on shooting. He became obsessed with winning and losing. And that's exactly what happens to most of us. We no longer live for the experience itself. We live for the result. A person goes on a date, but their mind only thinks, how do I make this person like me? A creator makes videos, but only thinks about views and numbers. A human being lives, but spends every day comparing their success to everyone else's. And slowly, everything loses its natural beauty. Modern people are incredibly good at pretending, but they've forgotten how to truly exist. We create fake versions of ourselves to gain acceptance. A version that is always okay, always strong, always happy, always successful. But inside, many people are breaking apart silently every single day. Social media makes everyone believe that other people's lives are better than theirs. Richer, more attractive, more talented, more fulfilled. And so we desperately run toward a life that was never ours to begin with. But here's the sad part. Many of the people you envy are secretly suffering too. They are afraid, lonely, lost. They just don't post that part online. Lao Tzu once said, "He who tries to shine is not truly bright." Because true strength never needs to announce itself. Water never claims to be powerful. Yet over time, it cuts through stone. A tree never tries to become beautiful. Yet when the season comes, it naturally blossoms. Human beings are no different. When you live according to your true nature, you naturally become attractive in your own way. No pretending. No forcing yourself to become someone else. There's a reason children often feel so alive and magnetic. Because they are natural. They laugh when they're happy. Cry when they're hurt. They do not pretend. They do not perform for approval. But as people grow older, they lose that naturalness. We learn to hide emotions. Learn to wear masks. Learn to become what society wants us to be. And one day, we no longer recognize who we truly are anymore. Wu Wei is not only a philosophy of action. It is also a return. A return to the most authentic part of yourself. A self not distorted by fear. Not controlled by ego. Not obsessed with proving its worth. Because the truth is, you do not need to prove anything at all. A flower does not ask permission to bloom. The moon does not need validation to shine. Only human beings turn themselves into prisoners of other people's opinions. Maybe right now, you are exhausted. Exhausted from trying to hold onto a relationship. Exhausted from trying to stay strong. Exhausted from trying to become a perfect version of yourself. But remember this. You are not a machine. You are human. You are allowed to feel weak. Allowed to slow down. Allowed to not know where you're going. That's okay. Life is not a race where the earliest winner truly wins. Some people succeed very early, and later collapse. Some spend half their lives lost before finally finding themselves. Everyone has their own rhythm. But society makes us forget that. It forces us into endless comparison. By 25 you should be successful. By 30 you should own a house. You should make more money. Have higher status. And if you don't achieve those things, you feel like a failure. But who created those rules? Who decided life must unfold according to one rigid timeline? Maybe what you truly need right now is not to push harder. Maybe you simply need to let go a little more. Let go of the need to control everything. Let go of the fear of judgment. Let go of the pressure to be ahead of everyone else. Because once you stop fighting the current, life becomes much lighter. That doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. You will still feel pain. Still lose things. Still experience nights of unbearable loneliness. But at least, you stop fighting against yourself. And that is real freedom. Freedom is not controlling everything. It is remaining peaceful even when you cannot control anything at all. Like water. It does not fight the rock. It flows around it. Soft, yet unstoppable. Maybe your life right now feels stuck. Maybe you feel lost. Maybe you feel like everyone else is moving ahead while you remain behind. But perhaps, this is simply your season of waiting. A seed beneath the soil looks dead from the outside. But in reality, it is preparing itself to bloom. So do not hate yourself just because you haven't blossomed at the same time as everyone else. Everything has its season. The sun does not rise at midnight. Flowers do not bloom in winter. So why do you force yourself to always stay strong? Maybe the bravest thing you can do right now is allow yourself to rest, to breathe, to slow down, to be yourself without apologizing for it. And if life feels unbearably heavy today, remember this: not everything needs to be fixed immediately. Some things simply need time. Some things need patience. And some things only arrive the moment you stop forcing them. If this video spoke to you, leave a like or comment the number 8 below. So I know that in this noisy and restless world, there are still people learning how to live more slowly, more gently, and more honestly with themselves.